Okay, our lesson is TFN week 16A. Okay. We will have Erikson. Okay, so me just read the biography of Erikson. He was born on June 15, 1902 in Germany and died in 1994. He was a German American psychoanalyst who focused on social psychology, individual identity, and the interactions of psychology with history of politics and culture that influenced the professional approaches to psychosocial problems and attracted much on this popular interest. Erikson in the book based many of his ideas on earlier work of Sigmund Freud. So you often hear his name after Sigmund Freud. And then he included social and cultural experiences as significant to personality development and emphasized that there is continual personality development across the lifespan. We will have the theory of personality development by Erikson. We'll start from these assumptions of the developmental stages. Each of these categories has a corresponding developmental stage, and then they have specific accomplishment or task accomplishment as stated with this stage. So for the early childhood, you will have autonomy versus shame and doubt. For um, the infancy, you'll have trust versus mistrust. For preschooler, you'll have your initiative versus guilt. For the school age, you'll have your industry versus inferiority. For your adolescence, you'll have your identity versus role confusion. And for middle adulthood, you'll have your generativity versus stagnation, and young adulthood for intimacy versus isolation, and maturity, ego integrity versus despair. Okay, we'll discuss it one by one. For the trust and versus mistrust, from the stages of development, learning the baby or is learning the ability to trust based on the consistency of caregiver. Sometimes the play of the baby here is peekaboo, right? So that after, for example, after playing the peekaboo or after removing your hand in your eyes or your hand in their eyes, they still believe that you are there. So that's a trust, okay? For the positive outcome, trust allows the child to gain confidence and security in the world, or will still believe that you are there even after removing the something that covers their eyes. And the negative outcome, if they will not trust, they will have inconsistent fear with the world or paranoia. Okay? For autonomy versus shame and doubt, this is during the toddlerhood for the first 1 to 3 years. This one, for this stage of development, we have to assert independence. And for the positive outcome, if autonomy is supported and encouraged, they become more confident and secure in their own ability to survive in this world. So they are okay being alone. Okay, they will try new things. Okay, and they believe that they could do it alone or without the help of others. For negative outcome, if this is criticized, they will lack self-esteem, and of course they will have doubts in their own abilities, or they will have the fear of trying new things. Okay, because of the belief that they will fail or they might fail in that certain task. Next, initiative versus guilt. For the preschooler, it's 3 to 6 years old. For the stages of this development, they will have assertiveness, okay, by planning activities, making up games. For positive outcome, they develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and make decisions. So, again, this must be met by the preschooler. So when they grow old, they will have to they will have the ability or the confidence to make decisions. For the negative outcome, they will have or they will feel guilt, okay, or will not be able to decide on something. Next, for industry versus inferiority. Okay. The developmental stage of this one, pride in accomplishments. Okay, they will have pride in accomplishments. Okay. Industry versus inferiority is again the fourth stage, and it is the period where child's life when they acquire possible new skills, build their confidence, and figure out what they are good at. Okay. The industry and inferiority stage is all about building skills and confidence, and that is a part of their development. It's full of trial and error, but it is an important part of growing up. Okay, it is always a very important part of growing up. It's when kids begin to figure out what they could actually do or what they could not do. Okay, so this one, for example, playing sport, learning an instrument, or getting good grades. So how kids manage this period of development helps set the stage of how they'll deal with challenges in the future and successes later in life. So one of the negative outcomes of this is feeling of inferiority, doubt in their own abilities, and may not reach that potential. Okay. Next is identity versus role confusion. When you say identity versus role confusion, this is from 13 to 18 years old, okay? From the other books, they will have different age range, but then again, let's take into consideration what is on this stage of development. It is the transition of childhood to adulthood, becoming more independent. So this one, the child will be asking, who am I? And learning about their goals, values, and beliefs. According to Erikson, people progress through a series of stages and they grow and change throughout life. And during this stage, everyone faces a development. And this one, what are identity and role confusion mean? Okay. As they transition from childhood to adulthood, teens may begin to feel confused or insecure about themselves on how they fit to the society kasi may mga makikita sila na parang hindi sila into it, hindi ayaw nilang itry, takot silang itry. And as they seek to establish a sense of self, teens may experiment with different roles. Yung iba nagtatry sila ng mga casual sex or yung iba nagtatry silang mag-addict, yung iba nagtatry silang mag-bar, okay? Or they will try new activities and behaviors, of course. According to Erikson, this is important in the process of forming a very strong self-identity and developing a sense of direction in life. So, makikita nila kung saan sila magkakamali and then makaka-develop sila ng ano to, instinct kung saan sila mas magiging better. Pero yung iba talaga kasi nalululong sila. For the positive outcome, explore the possibilities for the future and form an identity based on the outcome of their explorations. But then again, if this is hindered, okay, they will have a confusion of their about their self and what is their role to the society. Okay, when you say identity kasi, it involves your uniqueness, the uniqueness of the individual, the psychosocial development, and the sameness, okay? Or a sense of continuity within self and interaction with others. Pag sinabi naman nating role confusion, if you are not allowed to explore and test out different identities, you might be left of the following, okay? You may be, number one, you may be unsure of who you are and where you fit. Sometimes that yung mga ano natin, yung mga hindi nila alam talaga if babae sila, lalaki sila, mag-nursing sila, mag-criminology sila, hindi talaga nila alam, mag-abroad ba sila, mag-a-appam sila, so hindi nila alam. Role confusion ang tawag natin doon. Drifting from one job or relationship to the another. So pag yung mga jowa nyo manloloko sila, hindi nila na-attain tong development na to. Okay, nagkakaroon sila ng role confusion. So ibig sabihin, hindi nila na-develop yung identity nila. Kasi if you have developed your identity, alam mo kung ano yung gagawin mo kasi you are working towards that identity. Okay? Feeling disappointed and confused about your place in life, parang there is something na hindi mo pa sure kung ano, saan mo gustong magstay, ano yung gagawin mo, ano yung future plans mo sa buhay mo. So, other influences on identity, pwedeng uh, pwedeng yung mga goals mo na sinet mo dati na hindi mo naman na talaga kayang gawin or feeling mo you don't fit into it. So you have to have that identity. Okay? Kaya yung mga babaero at mga lalakero dyan, nagkakaroon ka kayo ng role confusion. So what is intimacy versus isolation? In your intimacy versus isolation, sharing intimacy with others and exploring your relationships. So yung mga tao na na nagkaroon ng intimacy, they will have commitment, okay? They will have commitment, they are stable in relationships, and they have care of uh, that relationship. Pero pag negative outcome, ito yung mga tao na mahilig sa situationship, okay, they avoid intimacy, fear of being committed, they tend to isolate. Sometimes they are introverts, okay? Sometimes they are lonely, and most of the time they are depressed. Although sometimes, sabi ni Erikson, ina-associate niya yung intimacy with the other sex, uh, sinasabi pa rin niya that is not the only meaning of intimacy, but it could be closeness, it could be honesty, it could be love. Okay, and these are all essential in the emotional well-being is the most loving connections, whether romantic or platonic, platonic na yan, okay, familial or the otherwise. So that's intimacy. Okay, whereas the person might form healthy relationships with romantic partners and others, another person might lack the ability or desire to form social connections, healthy relationships, and general social support. So, the benefits of intimacy, of course, yun yung sinasabi natin kanina, um, they could have a very strong social network. Tapos, parang they are waiting for violation tuloy, validation. Okay, guys? Now, so we have here, sabi ko sa inyo kanina, they are after connections and strong relationships. Okay? So that is intimacy versus isolation. How about generativity versus stagnation? Okay, this is from middle age 40 to 65. So, for the stage of development, develop a sense of being part of the bigger picture. So, medyo itong mga taong to, okay, dahil nasa 40 to 65 na sila, parang nag-strive sila to create something or they nurture things that will last or outlast them, okay? Often, for example, by parenting children or fostering positive teen changes in the world or that could benefit others. Medyo itong mga taong to yung mga tumutulong, they are after helping other people or they are people who contributes much to the society and doing these things to promote future generations. Yung mga important needs ng generations natin. It is important to note that life events at this stage tend to be less age specific than they are during the early stages of life. The major events that contribute to this stage is marriage, yan, yung mga mag-aasawa, yung work nila, yung child rearing nila, and kailangan nating ma-overcome yung mga struggles along those with those part of development. What are generativity and stagnation? So, pag sinabi kasi nating generativity, you have to make your mark. Okay, how will you make your mark sa world is by caring for others as well as through creating or accomplishing things that make the world a better place. So parang contribution to the other person or to the world. Okay? Parang nagiging good person ka na lang. Yun yung sinasabi natin, generativity. Pero most of yung mga tumatanda talaga, since they have a missing piece in their life, they tend not to meet the generativity. So minsan despair, stagnation talaga yung naano nila. So these people develop relationships with family, making commitments to other people. They mentor others, contributing to the next generation or helping them to be better part or to be a better part of the generation. Okay. Then next is you have stagnation. Stagnation refers to the failure to find a way to contribute. So parang wala silang mahahanap na way to contribute. Stagnant individuals may feel disconnected or uninvolved with their community or with society as a whole. So some characteristic of stagnation includes yung mga narcissist. Okay, yung mga self-centered, they only value what they feel and how they feel and what will happen to them. Failing to get involved with others, parang yun nga, they have their own worlds. Parang sila lang yung importante. So not taking an interest in productivity. So they don't care about, for example, their job or what will happen to their job. So that's stagnation. So ibig sabihin, meron kang hindi namimit sa pagkatao mo. No efforts to improve themselves. So parang alam mo na that there is something happening to you, hindi mo na-improve yung sarili mo or placing one's concerns above all else. So inuuna mo yung sarili mo kesa sa iba, that's stagnation. And sometimes, yung mga, sabi ko, mga mataong may mga missing piece, pag tumatanda sila, they have this one. Okay, so what contributes to generativity is pride in work and family. So kailangan talaga yung kailangan talaga yung family. So positive outcome is giving back to society by raising children, okay, productive at work and being involved in the community. And negative outcome, you're stagnant, you are self-centered, you are narcissist, and you are unproductive. Okay, so another one is you have ego integrity versus despair, and this is now for senior citizen, older adulthood from 65 until the death of that person. Integrity versus despair is the final stage of Erikson's theory that suggests that people pass through 8 distinctive developmental stage para mag-grow sila at mag-change sila sa buhay. Okay? What is integrity versus despair? It involves a retrospective look back and life, and either you feel satisfied, na well-lived ba yung buhay mo? Meron ka bang integridad? Okay? Meron ka bang integridad? Or regretting choices or missed opportunities or despair. So it's either you have built your integrity or you are thinking of something na hindi mo siya nagawa ng dapat. In order to understand this stage, it is important first to understand every part of the theory of Erikson. Integrity or ego integrity talks about acceptance. Okay, acceptance, a sense of wholeness, kompleto ka. Something might be missing, but as a person, you're feeling that you're complete. Lack of regret, wala kang pinagsisisihan sa lahat ng decision mo. You are happy with your decisions. Feeling at peace, okay? Feeling at peace. Nakakatulog ka ng maayos sa gabi, even if there are things that are out of your control, you understand that life goes on that way. And then a sense of success, small wins. Hindi naman kailangan talaga yung madami or yung mataas. Okay? Importante you have small wins. Feelings of wisdom and acceptance. Wait lang guys, na talagang maingay yung mga nasa ibang faculty. Okay, so the negative outcome could be despair. And if you are having a despair, you have bitterness. Yan. Yung bitterness kasi parang pag tumanda na yung tao, imbes na they will be happy with the success of the other people, of other persons, I should say, di sila di sila nagiging happy because they regret na hindi nila na-attain yun sa buhay nila. And you are ruminating over mistakes of other people. Yun, imbes na they will help to develop the other person younger than them, nagkakaroon sila ng ruminating over these mistakes, feeling that life was wasted, hindi nila nagkaroon ng ng well-lived life, or they feel that they are unproductive, or they feel that they are depressed, and of course hopelessness. So that's ego integrity versus despair. So we have here Lawrence Kohlberg. The individual makes a clear effort to define moral values and principles that have validity and application apart from the authority of the groups of persons holding them, and part from the individual's own identification of within the group. So we will have to discuss what is all about the Lawrence Kohlberg theory. These are the biography of Lawrence Kohlberg. He specialized in research on moral education and reasoning, and he is best known for his theory of stages of moral development. The stages, okay, you have the moral reasoning. Okay. For Lawrence Kohlberg, ang sabi niya, moral reasoning is the basis for behavior, and it has 6 identifiable constructive developmental stages. Okay. Next. So we have here level 1, the post-convention. Level 1 is the pre-conventional. Level 2 is the conventional. We have level 3, the post-conventional. Okay, for the pre-conventional, okay, we have here what we call as values in events. Okay. Pag sinabi nating level 1 kasi yan, the pre-conventional morality is 0 to 9. This stage is including stage 1 and 2. Yung number 1 is punishment and obedience, and number 2 is individualism or exchange or getting what you want by trade-off. For the pre-conventional morality, this is the earliest period of development. Pag sinabi kasi nating obedience and punishment, the earliest stages of moral development, obedience and punishment are specifically or especially common in young children. But again, adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. And according to Kohlberg, people at this stage, nakikita nila yung rules na obsolete or fixed. And obeying the rules is important because it is a way of avoiding punishment. Another two is stage 2, the individualism and exchange or getting what you want by trade-off. At the individualism and exchange stage of moral development, children account for individual points of view and judge actions based on how they serve individual needs. So parang children argued that the best course of action was the choice that best serve yung needs ng isang tao. So reciprocity is standard at this point of development. At this point of development, level 2 is the conventional morality. It's performing right roles. Okay, so for the stage 3, meeting expectations of others or developing a good interpersonal relationship, and it's often referred to as the good boy or the good girl era. And this orientation of relationships, kinagkakaroon sila ng mga social expectations and roles, and there is an emphasis of conformity. You have to be nice, okay? Kasi yun yung expectation ng ibang tao. For stage 4, fulfilling duties and upholding laws, or in other terms, it is what we call as maintaining social order. And this stage is focused on ensuring that social order is maintained. And at this stage of moral development, people begin to consider society as a whole when making judgment, and the focus is maintaining law and order by following rules and doing one's duty and respecting authority. So that is your level 2, the conventional. How about the post-conventional? Okay, these are now your shared standards, rights, and duties, and it will be focusing on stage 5 and 6. Okay, for the stage 5, social contract and individual rights, or the sense of democracy and relativity of rules. Okay, the ideas of a social contract and individual rights cause people in the next stage to begin to account for different values, yung opinions and beliefs of the other people. So dito, parang you have to understand na yung iba-ibang tao, meron silang iba-ibang perception, they will have different opinions, but the rules of law are important in maintaining a society. So meron pa rin tayong law na tinutupad even if we will have differing opinions or differing perceptions. Okay? But the members of the society, tayo, dapat should agree on these certain standards. And for stage 6, self-selection of universal policies or principles, I should say, or what we call as universal principles, okay? Ito yung final level ni Kohlberg of moral reasoning is based on universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. When we say abstract reasoning, okay, people follow these internalized principles of justice even if there are conflicts with rules and regulations. So what could be the application of the theory of Kohlberg? So you have to bear in mind that the theory of moral development is very important and can help parents guide their children as they develop their moral character. And parents with younger children might work on rule obedience, for instance, whereas they might teach their children about social expectations. So, para makita din ng mga bata na yung society natin, everyone is meron silang expectation kung paano dapat nag-act ang isang tao. Okay? Ayan. So, yun yung mga tao na minsan nagrarally na sila kasi syempre feeling nila justice is not served. Okay? Ayan. So sometimes people will just say it's not fair kasi sabi ko nga we have differing perceptions and opinions. Okay, you have moral scenarios here. Kohlberg studied moral reasoning by presenting subjects with moral dilemmas, and again it could include 2 stages. Or ito na yung sinasabi natin kanina, yung pre-conventional, yung conventional, okay? So that is all about Lawrence Kohlberg and Erikson.